Yo.
Don't believe the hype. It's a sequel, baby. What's up, man?
A sequel?
You don't know that song? What's that song? I can't remember. I'm aging myself. This is the 80s, man.
Yeah, I mean, exit all hoodie and hype markets, as a bunch of the memers like to say. But we'll get into that, man. Who am I with on Champions? Who's there? We got the intern in the house.
I don't see. I don't have. I haven't been brought. I was brought up for a second and then got booted. I think there's maybe a glitch in Twitter there. All right,
there might be. What's good, bro?
Fucking living life.
Yeah.
Twitter Spaces at the same time. Just doing social media things.
Doing some intern stuff. Here, Adam, I'm inviting you back up too. Can everybody hear me? Am I getting rugged right now?
I got you.
Okay, cool.
But in the spaces, guys, raise your hand if you can hear us.
All right. Yeah.
They
got a little bit of a slow start today, but we'll be cool. We'll do a small show, any show. I don't give a fuck who's in here. Today we're so for those that don't know, we used to host a Friday show at around this same time. Recently, we've expanded to Tuesdays and Thursdays now at 11:30 a.m. Eastern time. This is going to be our regular time. Tuesdays, I believe we're going to focus on guest-based shows, and then Thursdays, we're going to focus on topics. We may play around with this a little bit, but this is going to be a fun model. We do so many guest shows consistently. It seems like it's just never.
Dude, how many interviews have you and I done together combined? I mean, it's literally like it's hundreds and hundreds, probably like 500, right? Mm-hmm. It's like it boggles the brain, Totally.
Yeah, if anybody wants to come join the discussion as well at any point in time, please do. Also, make sure you retweet the spaces so that more people can see. I'm going to pin it here to the top.
I wonder if that even works. I think, I don't know if like the algorithm, like retweeting the space, I think the algorithm might not even do anything with that, man. I would love somebody to break into the and do like a algorithm breakdown. I think retweets almost like, man,
it's
they're just
not as much. I did see somebody recently post about it. This is where you see this trend now of everyone screenshotting the tweet and then posting a caption versus retweeting it, because you can clearly tell the difference in engagement.
There's zero question that there is a massive. You cannot go viral with a retweet. Like I can't remember the last piece of like. I'm not even viral. You can't get good traction with a retweet, right? I don't know, man.
Even the quote retweets too is it's pretty bad. I think just in general, it feels like engagement is just down pretty bad.
Oh my God, dude.
Also, I know. I mean, it's also too just like in these bear markets, like we're at the depth of a bear market. More so, we're probably at the very bottom of the NFT bear market more than 100%. Anything. Yeah. And when I was around in 2018-19, it was pretty close to this. I mean, there's definitely more people now that are participating than there were before last bear market, but the sentiment feels very the same, where 95% of the people leave, just as like your net worth leaves, the social social aspect leaves as well. But it's always been a pretty good historical indicator though, of knowing like how close to the bottom we actually are. Maybe we got 6 more months of pain, but who knows, man?
Who knows, man? I mean, we're always looking for that next thing to, okay, what's going to be the next thing to kind of reignite crypto, right? And, we are all kind of reaching out for this. I mean, obviously we had the huge, ordinals explosion in April and May, and that was fun and awesome, and love supporting Bitcoin and building new stuff on Bitcoin. But the reality is what it basically was, all of the stuff that's already available on Ethereum and other, L1s was coming back home to Bitcoin. And that was exciting, right? But it wasn't something new for a new group of people to come in, right? It was simply people who were on other blockchains like us on Ethereum or Solana or Tezos or whatever to come back home to Bitcoin, right? And that's exciting and cool, but it's not new users coming in to join the crypto community at all. it was basically pillaging other users from other chains, right? And that doesn't mean it's not going to be there in the next bull run, and it's awesome, and we both love ordinals, but the reality is that there were no new users coming in to crypto because of ordinals, right? And so it's like we're just waiting for the new thing, man. That's what it feels like right now.
Yeah, it's when you kind of look at like the overall kind of market structures, and this is every market as well. What causes consolidation, or quote unquote a crab market, is just the lack of new liquidity, but also the lack of sellers as well, right? When you get to the bottom like this, everyone that's sold is pretty much sold, unless you're selling for some sort of life circumstance, right? You're going to pay
or you're selling D-gods. No hate on the D-God community. I love, a lot of guys in that community, but they're getting just crushed. Right?
Yeah, we're gonna dive into that here in a second. I do want to say GM to anybody else. It was Israel Crypto or Crypt GM, bro.
Hi, GM. How are you doing?
Doing good, doing good. Yeah, if anybody else wants to join the discussion, more than welcome as well. I do want to dive in.
So, I'm on the throne.
This is what you get in the bear market, Jake. You just get these, hot takes, man. I'm on the throne, baby.
Yeah, I love the hot takes, man. Let's start with just like what is the hot topic right now is obviously D-gods are tanking, but also we did see Azuki do this, right? Everyone's saying, I think Kook, who's kind of a shit poster, saying like exit all hoodie markets and hype markets. He did say this though about a month ago, which honestly ended up being true.
Well, it would have been true too about a year ago as well, right? He should have.
Right, you've had about a year to say that.
Yeah.
But Frank came out recently, and I've been kind of following I don't own any D-gods or any Utes. I only own a few types of PFPs. I've been following it, and it really reminds the whole community, everything. It just reminds me a lot of like TMZ, and it's very, it's very who's who. It's like very kind of Hollywood-esque in a sense. But Frank's came out. I guess he overhyped whatever the point spiraler and the downgrade. I don't know if that's it. He hyped it up to sound like there was going to be big things coming. I mean, the point spiraler, Can Pipe Pandas has been doing that for 6-7 months now at this point. The downgrade or the art change. I mean, this is kind of what Jack Butcher has been doing for months. Although I think Frank and them have done it. So it seems like there's going to be something else that's coming. If not, then he overhyped it. And he actually came out in one of his videos and said that hype marketing's dead. And I don't know if I necessarily believe that. I think maybe in this type of market, it's dead. But I think for him to come out and say, this isn't going to be working anymore. I think it's more of a product of the situation, of the circumstances, than it is to say hype marketing's dead forever.
Bro, hype market. That's. I mean, obviously, Frank is all credit due to Frank. Frank is a genius marketer for today's age. He really is. And just because he's proven, right? He's done it. But I mean, all you got to do is study a little bit of history. I look at recent history, Elon, right? Elon and his ability to hype cycle, still waiting for that fully self-driving car. Was promised 3 years ago, right? But you think way back of the ones we look at in business, like P.T. Barnum, and these guys, their hype was bordering on unethical, right? And this is what arouses haters, and in today's market, you see it, and it arouses controversy. And all of that combined is, it's just speed run today, where you can go through this giant hype cycle in 2 days, right? And so the thought that it's somehow dead is great. There's no way. I mean, this is the way humans operate. So no, all thanks, all props to Frank and his team, honestly, because you watch. I started watching the team. And the things are like, the posts they do have been they're just retreading what other people have done, which is like, that's it, guys. I'm out of crypto or whatever. It's like, hey guys, I'm leaving the D Gods team. It's been a good run. All of this kind of farming engagement and stuff is kind of a well-run track now. And the thing is, we've all seen it now, right? And so, what Frank's doing and what the team's doing is not new. Like you're saying, they're basically copying what other projects have done. And so feels a little bit stale. And when it feels a little bit stale, that's endgame, right? You got to either create something new, which is really, really hard to do, or you're at, endgame.
Yeah, I proposed this to him. I mean, not in person, but I tweeted at him. Said, okay, you have to kind of look at the different market dynamics. There's the bull market is when attention's at its highest. Products are not being released at the rate that they generally are in a bear market because, when you're an operator or running a protocol, it's much tougher to build something when you have, tens or even hundreds of thousands of people actively using your product and you're just raking in all kinds of capital. Like there's the incentive is to just maintain it where it's at. Whereas in a bear market, there's a lack of liquidity. So you're trying to build something new and have that enter the market so that when that bull market does come, right, then you'll be set up for that position. So engaging in hype marketing where there's no attention and a lack of liquidity, it just falls on kind of deaf ears and everybody just says, we've seen this. I told him, I said, in a bear market, when I told him again, this is a tweet, I said, what you should do is maybe if you're going to create something, do more of a stealth launch and let your community kind of just stumble across it. Maybe even just share it in the Discord, no hype. Let them organically and authentically kind of engage with whatever this new kind of item or product is, and then let the community build the hype. Don't let the hype come from the founder. It should come from the community where people are trying to find, something. It's better to have, I don't know how many DGods holders there are, but maybe, a few thousand. It's easier to have a few thousand people organically kind of find this item cool. You could critique it. And then eventually, once it flows into the Twitter timeline organically and people start being more curious about it, saying, oh, what is this that they're talking about? Rather than it coming from the top person and saying, shouting from the mountain. I thought that's a better strategy. And I mean, honestly, that's kind of the strategy we've been running at Emblem is just giving gradual, updates of what's going on and letting it kind of build from there.
Yep. Israel, did you have something to say? Are you off the John?
Yeah. Sorry, I believe Frank did, but I don't know how long he has been in the market, but I believe probably because of the bull and as a marketer, as an experimenter, he calls himself a social experimenter. So I believe he was experimenting with the bear market. I think he has learned his lesson. He took a very big risk. I think he was willing to take the risk of sink or swim. If the DGods season 3 we go through fine bid, then probably it will be like the catalyst for the bull or something. If it doesn't go through, and then they find one thing or something else to bring in. So I think that's what he actually did with the season 3. Although he should have taken into consideration the bear market, it would take more than just plain downgrade of DGods or plain cartoon characters to bring back the hype around everything. But I believe he has learned the lesson and he'll bring probably something better in the future. But that's what I just think.
Yeah, I mean, for me, that kind of like I'm just experimenting is the ultimate like free pass, like hallway pass. It's the ultimate BS, man. Right? Like it gives you unlimited range to, I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm just out here playing, I don't know. That's always rang to me as just,
Yeah, you have
like a get out of jail free card. It's like, oh, I fucked up. Sorry. It's like, I've never vibed with that at all with Frank. I think that's just that's a bullshit thing.
Mm-hmm.
Just calling him out.
I agree with you. Because it's the bear. Not a lot of people have liquidity to pass around. Can't just be playing with people that trust in you and trust in your project, and then you bring out things just should I call it a degen or a gamble? Taking a gamble in, especially in the beer, is not something that is very advisable or very nice to do.
Yeah, I tweeted this and I'm actually going to pin it to the top. This was kind of a direct quote F's to everything that I saw. And it says, the emperor has no PFP, right? Kind of like the famous quote, the emperor has no clothes, which means the master, right, or the leader has been found out to not be as qualified as people thought it was. And, you know, Frank's young, he's 24. I think in this situation, unless there's some elaborate psyop going on into some sort of marketing, which it does not appear like that to me, although some people may want to cope and say that.
Yeah. I mean, they've said that really for everyone that's fallen like this, right? There's always been like, oh, wait, the Zuki team is behind the scenes working hard, right? But you think about what he's doing, and it's like he's trying to attract new holders to DeGods, right? But there's no new people coming into crypto. So who is he attracting? You know, other than, you know, other crypto holders are like, shoot, I want to own a DeGod, right? I mean, it's darn near impossible to do. Right. And so, yeah. And I mean, leading into the hype of season 3, I mean, we've seen that multiple times with, I don't know, Sotheby's or any of these kind of like, you know, sell the news events. Right. I mean, it's almost like a broken record. It happens so regularly. And if it doesn't happen, it's almost a complete outlier. Right. The things that Bored Apes was able to do, where they actually really did provide like a whole bunch of value to their holders, but that whole bunch of value was because there was a wave of new people coming in who could buy into that hype and wanted to be on board for the next drop to try and get a hold of that. Right. We saw it with them. We saw it with Moonbirds. It's the same thing.
Yeah, it is. Pranksy actually had tweeted, who's one of the best traders in the last NFT bull market. He said that the PFP bubble has officially popped. And it leads me to be very curious of like what's next for, I guess, visual identity in crypto. We know that I don't think the crypto community is going to be leaving X.com at any point in time, although we've been trying to bridge off of it. There is a friend tech thing that's popped up, which I'd like to talk about. Maybe.
Yeah, well, we can move in there in a sec. Yeah, absolutely.
Which is pretty cool, the SocialFi aspect of it. So it's like, right, during the bull market, a lot of communities experimented with these like 3D metaverse avatars, which is an extension of your PFP. It turns out that the metaverse is not nearly as far along as people thought it was. Right, you got like maybe a few hundred people actively playing in Decentraland or Sandbox.
Yep.
So what's next? Right, it's every PFP community's kind of run the same playbook, where they did a drop, then they did a companion, or they had their mint, then it was a companion drop. Then it was, hey, we're going to pivot and be a game. Then we're going to have a fungible token. Now we're going to stake our NFTs so that it could suppress a downward price action. And then in return, you get these points that you could go buy something with. And turns out the staking does not prevent the downward price action at all.
It may slow it.
It may slow the inevitable,
yeah.
But it has not prevented anything. When you look at the DeGods owner count, the staking contract holds 2,200 DeGods, so owns 1/5 of the collection, and it hasn't prevented a negative 70% in a week or so. And you just see that consistently. So for me, it's just what's the next kind of move. I do think though Frank is probably best positioned because he looks at PFPs as kind of like the social economy, which I think is kind of the right way to look at it. I kind of look at it as DeFi is more about, you know, financial capital, and then the NFT community is more about social capital. How do you continually build that social capital so that it eventually trickles over to, you know, to the financial, you know, or floor go up? Whereas DeFi is more about, hey, we're going to build cool products, and then it's more of like a build it and then they will come kind of mentality. Whereas the PFP community is more, or the NFT community, I guess, in the current state is more like, hey, we're just going to yell at you and then hopefully you guys will come. But I guess that method just is not as effective as it was before.
I mean, look, our digital representations in the digital space, the metaverse, if you want to call it that, are not going away, right? I mean, all you got to do is look around. Everybody's got a PFP of some sort. Some people have their face, right? But that's not going away. You know, how much value that has and how much these communities or memberships are worth, that's all up in the air. And certainly it's way up in the air until projects actually have a way to truly pass value to the NFT holders, right? And the existing ways that they've done that through drops of additional NFTs or tokens, obviously is broken during any sort of down cycle. You know, during an up cycle, yeah, it can work. So that's something to keep in mind for the next bull run, right? But you know, I'm still hopeful, and I know people are doing experiments about, you know, kind of true ownership of projects where real income can be passed to holders. I think that's exciting and still very, very much in the air. But that may be, you know, maybe that's the next thing that triggers the next bull run. Who knows? But yeah, we certainly haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, and moving into SocialFi, right? Socialized, or I guess social media finance. Friendtech is really, you know, taking the community by storm. I got on it pretty early. I definitely bought the top of a few people's shares for sure. But Friendtech. So if you're not familiar with it, you've probably seen some people on your timeline posting invite codes consistently, and you're like, what the hell is this? So it's actually created by some guy named Racer, who I guess is really close with the like crypto Twitter kind of your traditional crypto influencer kind of crowd, like with like Kaleo and Hasaka and Kobe in them. I guess he's like one of their friends, so an OG. So I think that's where he got some of this initial traction. But basically what it is it's kind of like this tokenized kind of Telegram kind of group. Basically, it's only on mobile. So for those that are watching on the stream, there's not really much to kind of see outside of the Twitter account, right? Because you can see here it just says the marketplace for your friends. But what it is you connect your Twitter account to this app, and then you have shares. And with the shares, anybody can buy or sell your shares. There's a 10% fee on each side of it if you want to buy or sell. 5% goes to the team, and then 5% goes to the liquidity pool and the royalties for the person who has that shares. And if you own this person's share, then you get to be basically in their own private chat group, which the app is still pretty wonky to begin with.
Yeah.
But it's built on Base. So Base is the L2 that's using Optimism stack. That
it's Coinbase, yeah.
That's Coinbase, yeah.
Yep.
And it's, I would say, probably the most popular dApp that's on Base at this point in time. Of course, there was the bald rug that had happened on there earlier. But the Friendtech, they're rolling out the farming meta. It says this
another farming.
Yeah, and so it's tomorrow's the first airdrop for points. So it says this Friday we'll begin airdropping reward point to app testers. Points are collected off chain during the beta period and will have a special purpose when the app enters the official release status. 100 million points will be distributed over 6 months.
Didn't that already happen? I thought it happened like a couple days ago. Didn't they already do part of that drop?
No, it's on the 18th.
Okay.
I have it on my app. So I threw in like half an ETH and started just kind of like buying and toying around with it. It's cool. It's very, very primitive. There's really not much going on. There's a lot that needs to be fixed, but it just leads to this idea of social tokens, which we've talked about a lot. It's something I've been bullish on for many years. But what is a social token? I think is a big question. Is a social token a fungible token? Is it an NFT? Does it represent a community? Does it represent a person? What is the use case, right? There's all these different questions that kind of surrounding it. But I have been seeing a lot more social token bullish sentiment since this has popped up. So maybe, you know, this is the way to the next meta. And if it is, right, if social tokens are the next NFTs, which was the ICOs, there's a lot of money to be made. And this is going to go very, very high if this is something that is going to be led into the next bull market, which I'm going to call on you here in a second. Champions, every bull market, whatever is the trend of that bull market, vastly outpaces the amount of capital that's generated from the previous cycle. So like in 2017, it was all about ICOs, right? And then obviously in 2021, it was all NFTs. So if in 2024, 2025, it's social tokens, you can easily see a place where every YouTube channel, every YouTube creator is going to have a social token, right? Every Twitter influencer, people are going to find all kinds of creative ways to build their own token community. To me, it's something that I've long thought was kind of the final boss for crypto. It's just the tech is just obviously with this app is just not there yet.
I mean, it's almost like, and we've talked about this a bunch too, right? It's like, it's actually the same issue with NFT, with PFPs. How do you pass value down from whatever the tokens of that person you're buying? How do you pass the value down to the holders of that token, right? And I played around with this a bit, and actually I've been in talks with some people about some AI stuff. But like, how could you know, right now the value is accruing at Web2 properties. So YouTube's the easiest example, right? So YouTube, if you have a YouTube channel, okay, you can make money through ad revenue, but ad revenue at the top through Google and YouTube, that's how the money comes in, right? How can that be passed down through a tokenized structure, right? And the reality is right now, there are no Web3 ecosystems which generate that kind of value at the top of the funnel, right? And so if that has to be fixed, it's a much bigger lift than if somehow we're able to integrate one of these systems into an existing, you know, structure that earns revenue. So we're on Twitter right now. If Elon would allow my ad revenue to be passed to my token structure, now it's game on, right? But until that happens, we're kind of stuck in this loop of like, how do you get money into the top of the funnel to pass through? That's my viewpoint on it, but I'm happy to be, I'm open to other ideas about, you know, maybe I'm missing something.
Yeah. You could see X.com could easily just spin up what Frentech is and just easily just blow it out of the water. All you got to do is just add a private or just token gate your DMs and add chats and stuff, which I assume this is probably the direction that X is going to go over the next few years when the technology is has a little bit stronger foundation. But we'll see. Merlin, did you have I saw you had your hand up. Do you have something to say?
Yeah, I want to say that the creators of BitClout are mad as fuck right now.
BitClout! I was gonna say Bitcoin, man.
Mad. Because BitClout was a great platform for like 7 people that used it. And it makes you wonder, was the only mistake they made not doing it on Ethereum or some such? I mean, it wouldn't have been possible with the gas fees, I guess. But all in all, I think Frentech is I think anybody who's not actively trying to build some sort of resource tool or scheme around that whole platform, you're just missing out. And I think y'all are right. I think it may be the next meta for the next bull run. This whole social token thing.
Well, Cam, I mean, how do you feel though about what I just discussed? Like, how do you get money into the top of that funnel though, right? Because right now it's just, okay, it's access. I might have access to the person whose token I hold, but I mean, we've already seen that's not really much value, right? The real value is like passing forward, you know, some revenue stream.
So first and foremost, you've got to buy 50 of your own shares when you launch the plan, and you got to save those in reserve as prizes or as ways of delineating.
Yeah, that's just a Ponzi with more steps, bro.
I mean, for the record, so is 90% of what I deal with on a day-to-day basis. For the record.
I know, bro. I know.
I mean,
we don't want to dig too deep. Right? The whole world's one giant Ponzi, so let's not go.
Right. Correct. Well, we're not part of the 1%, so we're not going to be. That's how it is. Anyway, that being said, how the easiest way I can think of without thinking about it real hard is creating is having the shares to give out and or breaking the shares down into, once they're worth enough, once one share is 2 or 3 ETH, you could break each share down into like fractioned NFTs. That's kind of like a long shot there, but in the long run, if you had a 5 ETH per share token, that would make more sense, you know?
Yep.
I mean, it's it's interesting. So Tom, who's in the crowd, I'm one of his shareholders, I should say. And the only trend that I've seen do well out that increases your share value on Friendtech outside of just having a large account, because of course that's what people are naturally just going to ape first, is doing some sort of like giveaway or creating some sort of alpha channel. That's what Tom did, where he did an airdrop for everyone who was in there. I think he airdropped some MF PERS and some other tokens, right? So you get people to buy your share for $10 or $20, whatever it is, and you can give them an airdrop. But it also has a little bit of that kind of random kind of gambling effect, which most people like when it comes to generative art. But right now, it feels like that's really the only thing you can do. You're definitely hoping on some upgrades and some creator toolings that they will add over time. I guess the top of the funnel for this, to just answer Adam's statement, I guess would just be the point incentives. Like, it's a proven method. Whether it works or not, it's worked for Blur. It's worked for pretty much onboarding any type of engagement to any blockchain, doing some sort of airdrop rewards. And people like free shit. We've come to learn that. Even if it's not valuable, if people perceive it to be valuable, then they want a piece of it. I learned that very hard with the vaulting pass kind of situation that we had back in the day.
A DAO with a Friendtech account sounds pretty cool, actually.
Yeah. An engagement DAO I think is kind of funny too.
Yo, that's the third time I've heard you say that. Let's just start that and do it.
The engagement DAO.
Engagement DAO. What do you think about this? This was my idea.
Let's just do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I guess you kind of have to see. So we could talk about this too. Kind of the pay for engagement on Twitter. It can easily be massively abused, which I think Alon is already.
You may get banned too, right? I mean, that could be. You could have your account taken from you for doing that sort of stuff.
Yeah, the original thought was, okay, let's create a DAO, right? And then you have the DAO account, so you create a separate Twitter account for the DAO. And then you basically just engagement farm it. And then with that money that gets contributed to the DAO, you go and buy NFT floors or whatever you want. And you can basically just generate revenue, and maybe you can create some sort of like art collective or something like that. That's what I would do. Even if I had an existing DAO account right now, if I was like Fingerprints DAO or I forget what's Curated DAO or some of these other art collecting ones, I would just have all my owners just pump and always retweet every single tweet from that account. And then you just get an additional few $1,000s to go buy some NFTs for your art fund or your art collective. It's
interesting.
Why not use it to buy, or to speculate on Friendtech accounts on Sean Shea? I think that's going to be a really big thing. I started a call group on our call channel on Telegram already for Friendtech accounts.
Yeah. I mean, I think that it's going to be greatly abused. It's going to be a massive flywheel effect during the bull market, right? In the bear market, it's tough to get engagement, but in the bull market, right, all of our Twitter accounts just shoot up like crazy. Right, I went from like 3,000 to 15,000. I think Adam went from a few thousand to 35,000. Zero to 35.
Like 500. Yeah.
I mean, you look at people like Farouk, right, that went from pretty much 0 to 300,000. That's going to happen again in the bull market when everyone is making money. And therefore, everyone's Twitter tweets are just going to get insane amounts of engagement. And therefore, because that's insane amounts of engagement, people are going to be getting paid. You're going to see these crazy posts of X paid me $50,000 for this month because of the insane amount of engagement. And then they're just going to go put it right back into NFTs and do it all over again. It's going to lead to a lot more scams, right? Like, the SEC's already gone and sued Kim Kardashian and all these other people for, posting rockets with a token after it and saying, buy this. That's going to greatly be exacerbated as well. So you're just going to see more scams. You're going to see more scammers making money off of engagement to then rug their audience, and so on and so forth. So it's something I'm going to be paying attention to. It's going to get out of hand during the next bear market unless Elon really figures it out. But
did you call him Elon?
Elon. Elon. Sorry, that's my Jewish side.
I love
hanging out with all my Israelis that are Elon.
It's so interesting. Like, you guys brought up BitClout and obviously BitConnect and all these ones. Again, I just feel like there's got to be a top of the funnel income stream, right? And it's like I was, talking. I haven't talked to you, Jake, yet about it offline, but with some AI guys about building like AI bots, right? And if you imagine if you could build an AI bot that produces content on TikTok, YouTube, for example, TikTok and YouTube, they can generate revenue, right? Those bots can generate revenue. What if that bot's owned by a DAO, right? Where holders of the DAO would then benefit from this revenue stream. It's basically a business. You're buying into, a corporation. You could do the same thing with a corporation. But this idea that then, you're actually supporting, like you said, retweeting, social proofing, engaging with this content as a way to boost the content, but with a real monetary income stream at the top. I think whether it's going to, it's going to happen. It's just like, who's going to figure this out? This is like it's literally a multi-trillion-dollar question. If somebody figures this out, this is like, like you say, final boss for crypto. This is because all we're dealing right now with is social networks across the globe. We're all on this. This is what we're doing. Yet there's no way other than ad revenue for people to get paid for creating content. And if, half the world is freaking content creators, how are people going to benefit from this at all, right? We're giving our attention. We all realize we should be somehow participatory in this income stream or this value creation. And right now, that value creation funnels to very, very few hands. And so I think we all want to kind of figure this nut out, but it's really real tough to crack.
Yeah. Merlin, do you have something to say?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it comes down to like the organization that's quote unquote engagement farming. If at some point they're converting that into what I would call a fungible service, meaning a service that's easy to do, can be automated, and is done often, and then use the profits from that to delegate down to the holders. That's something where we can create value and then put profit back into it. I think that it's really difficult to do what you're saying. And I do agree that if it's done correctly, that that person will obviously become, wealthy. But I think it comes down to like there are other ways to provide value aside from splitting profits or some such. If being a part of an organization creates fulfillment in any value providing way, right? Like alpha call groups and social clubs are the easiest example of this. The camaraderie is enough for most people in this world, especially those of us that are those of them that aren't good at social interactions to begin with. It gives like belonging. But I think that providing services to the people that are being content creators is probably the best bet in a world full of content creators.
Yeah, creator tools. Creators are the equivalent of entrepreneurs in Web3 or just the digital area, right? YouTubers are turning into entrepreneurs, where before it was generally entrepreneurs who were turning into kind of these like content creator celebrities. So now it's kind of flipped, and Mr. Beast is the easiest model. Created a YouTube, and over the years now is a billionaire from and not just, it's not from YouTube. He returns, or he puts all of his YouTube profits back into the videos. It's all of his side businesses that he's become, affiliated with. Also, to kind of last note on the X.com payout for views. I don't think a lot of people have realized this yet, but Elon has stated that the engagement towards your payout is only contributed by verified accounts. And so this is the main difference where you see Franklin is bored, where his strategy is he just goes to all the big accounts and he just reply guides them with memes. So you get a bunch of views. So you'll see him post some sort of meme and it gets like 50,000 views, but he only got paid $800 last payout, where Frank got paid $12,000 on his account. And that's because he has all verified accounts, right? All his whole community is. So again, it's just like those little things, which is, it's going to be slightly improved over time, but we are moving to a world where most social media platforms that you're going to have to be on, you're going to have to verify, unless you're dabbling in the decentralized media, kind of like Nostr or I forget what the other ones are, Farcaster and some of these other ones. You're going to have to encourage your community to verify all their accounts. It's something that I would do. It's something that, you know, on the Emblem side, we'll probably encourage people to do as well, because that's how the algorithm works. I mean, I verified my account on Instagram. It's just, you're gonna have to pay for social media to fight all of the bots and all of the fake accounts moving forward. It's just simple as
100%.
that. Simple as that. But on the non
As a person that's,
go ahead.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Good.
Well, no, as a person that's very familiar with bot farms, you know, I've ran a marketing agency for almost 8 years. And when I first started, it was the easiest way to get results for a client. So I'm
Sure.
real familiar with them. And what Elon did was the single most powerful blocker to any of that possible. Now, as I grew as an agency owner, I realized that the numbers weren't worth what organic authenticity is. And so I changed up. But I look back and I think that none of that would have been possible. None of it is possible now on Twitter. And that's a really good thing.
Yeah. Elon really just ripped the veil down on social media. When you go to Instagram, and this is one of the reasons why I barely use Instagram anymore, it only shows your engagement or your tweet, your post to 10% of your audience. And then when you go to the big accounts, it's like the majority of their followers are all just fake accounts. It's all people with 1 followers, 2 followers, 3 followers. But on the on the other side of SocialFi on Bitcoin and the non-speculatory perspective, there's a new protocol that's popped up from one of our good friends, Dogfather, who's a regular co-host on the show, but I think he's on vacation. Adam, you want to dive into this? It's called the Friends Protocol, and it deals with the equivalent of SBTs on ordinals.
Yeah, basically this is, I mean, and I'm not an expert on it. I've chatted with Dogfather a couple times about it. But they basically, on ordinals, you're able to, you know, claim your wallet address, and it basically sends you you get an SBT, soulbound token into your wallet. And there's no money to be made in it or anything like that, but you can basically connect with other people using the Friends kind of protocol. And so it's this way of, I think we saw it with, was it Bard, maybe like 8-9 months ago on Ethereum? What was the name of that one we did on ETH? Where
it was B card.
Began with a B. B card, right? So B card on Ethereum, what B card was, the guys were trying to do similar sort of structure, actually more similar to what we just talked about, which was you went and somebody had to send you a B card, and once 3 holders of B cards sent you B cards, then you could go to the B card website and claim your 50 B cards, and then you would be able to give out B cards to your friends, right? And so this idea is like using these tokens as like to say, I'm connected with Jake, you know, and Jake's connected with Emblem, and I'm connected with Emblem too. And so creating this kind of social graph, which, you know, this is like early blockchain stuff. This was like, you know, this has been thought about for a decade. And it's more like the tools now are here, but how's it going to work? And why would people use it? And I think that all still needs to be, there's a lot of questions about how this is going to work still. But obviously they've had a bunch of traction. You know, again, there's no money to be made in it. It's just something he was doing, kind of continuing this discussion. And I think, you know, we're cycling through these same ideas kind of again and again. And my belief is that it's just going to be a matter of time. It's just like, when is somebody going to hit on the right kind of setup, user interface, everything to kind of get real traction on these. And, you know, I don't think we're there yet. Definitely not there yet. But, you know, it's kind of these starting points.
Yeah. So GCR, he goes by GCR Classic on Twitter. He's the one who broke the Terra Luna peg, and he's been kind of this guy who sees things in the future and kind of predicts it. And he says that every bull market trend is the previous bull market's minority, right? So NFTs go back to 2011, but their first kind of coming out was in 2017 with CryptoKitties and CryptoPunks and Mooncats and EtherRocks and all that stuff. And then it really didn't take off until 4 years later. It's the same thing with before that. In 2017, ICOs were the big thing, but the first ICO was created in 2012 with Mastercoin. So you start thinking, right? You look through the history of crypto and NFTs. SBTs have been around since 2014, 2015. People have tried all these different social aspects, tokenizing podcasts, creating these kind of friend lists, and it's just like we're all circling around the same idea. It's just like what we're all circling around, what a or we're circling around social tokens, but I guess the big idea is more just like what type of social token is kind of the big idea here. And I like this idea because it removes some of the speculation and becomes really just about utility. I tried to pursue this kind of idea earlier in the year, kind of with like my on-chain guest list. And this is exactly the same idea is what it is. It's just a different form. It's how do you prove your network in a digital world so that you can use that network for different types of ideas, right? You could use this kind of thing for dot friends as your personal airdrop list on ordinals, right? Anytime you create a new project, you're saying, hey, this is my allow list. This is who I'm going to airdrop people to. These people are going to get discounts for anything that I do. Or if you're going to go through a digital event in Bitmap, whenever that's created, and I open up the Jake Gallen Club, whoever is on my dot friends list is going to be the people that are on the guest list that get in for free or whatever the case is. And so and you can even take this and extrapolate it to the real world when you start getting into, for example, like some my future kind of like ambitions. I live in Vegas, born and raised there, big on like entertainment and stuff like that. It's like, let's say I start, tokenizing hotel rooms or something like that. I could just go to every single, casino operator, hotel operator and say, hey, this is my personal guest list. Can you give them a discount to all of your properties across the world? And I can guarantee you that at least 20% of this list of 3,000 are going to show up and fill your rooms, right? So like it becomes a benefit for everybody. And that's kind of what I think dot friends is. In a sense, whether that's the right model or not is to be determined. But the non-speculatory aspect of it might not be the right time. Maybe it is the right time because it's a bear market. People are tinkering around with it.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's like something that can't earn revenue is really hard to create hype around, certainly in the crypto space, right? Why would people use it if they can't make money? And so we've seen the hype cycles and they were all around this, the often crazy belief that you can get rich with nothing, right? And, so when I look at like this social graph or, the Friends protocol or any of these protocols, BitConnect, BitClout, how are they going to integrate where new users are going to come into crypto because holy crap, I have a YouTube channel. Why shouldn't I be able to get paid directly? Or why as a watcher of YouTube shouldn't I be able to get paid? Or whatever the thing is that this next genius, figures out, right? And, it's funny, but somebody in the audience could be that genius, right? It's like, we know that it's probably one or two guys who build something like this and it hits the right thing at the right moment at the right time and just absolutely takes off. And whether it's a social token,
we're missing we're missing the percentage that comes off of every transaction on friends.tech. Like on every buy and sell, the account gets like a royalty. And that can be used. That could be used to be given out, or that's literally a revenue generator.
Sure.
Yeah, it's every buy and sell for your profile. I think, like if they sell you and buy you. Yep.
So it's actually, you should be encouraging people to buy and sell, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, because you can make royalties. I think mine is like 0.02 or 0.03 generated. I haven't really done much, but
were you the one who tweeted out like somebody bought a bunch of yours? Was that you or is that somebody else? Somebody was like, oh, it was some big.
I think it was like a bigger account. I think. Okay. When you look at friends.tech, so going to, right, you could compare the two dot friends and friend.tech. One's a non-transferable shares and then one's kind of the transferable, but I think they're kind of both going after the same idea here. If you look at kind of the chart of the top shares on friends.tech, the majority of them, I would say probably 80 or 90%, I don't have the chart in front of me, is all shares where the owners own less than 5 of their own shares. Yeah. The only person who owns more, and not by no surprise, it's Ben.eth, who owns like 20 of his own shares out of like it was like almost like 30% of his entire share. But on SocialFi, it's like, why would I buy Ben.eth when I know he's just going to dump on me on his own shares, right? It just doesn't make sense. So you have to have that kind of happy medium. It's funny, somebody, so Dude Lifts, who works at Arcade, he's a big fan of Emblem Vault. He was like, hey, I should just send my friend shares into an Emblem Vault and then go borrow against it on Arcade and start borrowing against your own, your own shares. This is something that this is things that founders and stuff do with their own equity in companies as well.
Yep.
So it's kind of unique. I think that kind of stuff will pop up at some point.
Has anybody promised their Twitter revenue to pass it on to their, or to use that Twitter revenue to buy their shares back or something like that?
That'd be interesting.
Put that out there.
A personal buyback,
guaranteed buyback. So as much as you could buy back for whatever your ad revenue is, just to hopefully boost your own engagement. I don't know. These are the kind of ideas, right? That maybe won't get you in trouble with the SEC. Not sure.
Yeah. Speaking of innovation, Adam, I want you to take this away. But our good friend Mitchell Chan, if you guys aren't familiar, he was an artist who created, I guess, the first conceptual, art piece on NFTs back in 2017. Adam and I come from the historical NFT kind of realm with Leonidas, and Leo absolutely crushed it with his Mitchell Chan holdings over the years. But Mitchell's he's a prestigious artist. He only puts out, I believe, one collection or one art piece per year. He's like very adamant about that. But also when I sold my Mooncats at Sotheby's, one of Mitchell's pieces sold there for over $1 million. So he's a super, super cool guy. He released his new art piece yesterday, which I'm so annoyed. I recorded a podcast. I thought the allow list was going to be more than 30 minutes or whatever it was, or it might have even sold out during the allow list.
Yeah.
But I finished the podcast and everything was sold out. And I gave myself a buffer too. Everything was sold out and the floor price of like 4x. I was like, God damn it. But do you want to explain what this is? Because I know you did at Twitter Spaces with him.
Yeah, we did a Twitter Space with him. Mitchell's obviously an awesome dude. Very insightful. I mean, a lot of artists aren't actually insightful as to like markets and all this sort of stuff. But Mitchell really, really gets NFTs and really has a deep understanding of art, which is he's an amazing person to talk to. So this is basically a game. Mitchell is exploring this idea of art as video games right now. And I think if you have a kind of larger vision of metaverse as kind of a immersive experience, even in like an AR experience metaverse, I think Mitchell's work is really amazing because he's exploring these ideas. And so we helped him, kind of broadcast his last launch. And this is his next one here, Boys of Summer. And basically what it is a baseball game, right? And so the mint was 999 characters, right? PFPs. And each of those PFPs plays within this baseball game. But it's not just baseball. It's your life, right? Where'd you go to school, who your parents are, how good your SAT score is. And so it's inspired by this old kind of video game you used to play back in the late 80s and 90s, which basically was a numbers-based video game. So you would basically play baseball, but it was all based on stats, right? So you would, buy, sell, trade players and stuff, complete stat based. So there was no like actual like push buttons and, play a game. It's all stat based. And so this game is a stat based game. And at the end of the game, it's like, how did you do on life? Did you make money? Did you get divorced? Do you have kids? Right? Were you successful in your career? Right. And so you get to, play the game of baseball, which is almost like play the game of life. And so, yeah, he's exploring this whole thing. And obviously people were pretty excited about it. I think Mitchell was, very, very smart to include and also explore this idea of PFPs, right? Which is like top of mind right now in the death of PFPs. And, he brought it all together in this really beautiful package. And yeah, it sold out very quickly. People were fired up about it. I think it's come back a lot. I think I saw I don't know, it's below like 0.2. So it's come back to near mint now. So yeah, I'll probably wait and see. Maybe I can get them below mint in a little bit.
That's kind of how I feel as well. I have it pulled up on the YouTube channel, the kind of the video that you could watch where it's going through it. So he raised 120 ETH through the sale, so not bad, making about 200K, for 1 year. He probably worked on this though for half the year or so. He's somebody who puts in a lot of thought to his artwork. Super, super cool guy. If you're ever at NFT NYC, he also hosts the yearly basketball tournament that I went and played. It was super funny. I was so I played basketball with them when I was down there at NFT NYC. And I was guarding this dude who's literally like 6'6". He's just owning me. I'm terrible at basketball. Turns out it's Dmitry Cherniak.
Yeah.
who created I forget what's his
Ringers, right?
Ringers. Yeah. And he's
you
like,
don't expect Dimitri to be like this giant dude, right?
yeah. And then so they released it through the platform Wild, which is run by Douglas, who's also like a big historical NFT collector. They raised, I don't know, $8 million, $7 million or something like that during the bull market. And it's all for unique types of art. And it's really all about the artists. It's a completely curated platform for artists.
Yep.
But there's a lot to it because they do unique interviews with the artists. It's not just like a typical, we're going to drop the token and call it a day. They do this whole marketing strategy behind it to tell the story.
And they do a whole bunch of they do basically retreats where they bring artists in, artists they believe in, and then they help those artists build immersive experiences, right? So if a kind of tactile or visual artist doesn't have the skill set to make NFTs or an immersive environment in a metaverse or something like that, they help them with that sort of stuff. And so it's really it's with this vision of immersive art experiences, which, I think you and I are pretty much on the same page. Like thinking of the metaverse, which is like the thing that was, if we're thinking about NFTs were the top of the pyramid last, bull run, metaverse, social tokens were the kind of like layers down from it, right? And you think about what potentially could hit in the next bull run, metaverse is kind of like, do I think it's going to be the one? Probably not, but you never know. And so looking at the artists that are kind of pioneering this like stuff now is really cool. And Mitchell's certainly one of those guys.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to find that tweet. I put a tweet out the other day that went through and it kind of explored all of the different ideas that could potentially be, this big bull run next, or big idea. Here it is. So potential breakthrough candidates for the next bull run. I put L2s, GameFi, CasinoFi, Metaverse, music NFTs, inscription, social tokens, bridges and multi-chain, and real world assets, which is also getting a ton of attention. I don't know if you've seen that recently, but the real world assets with the Rolex.
The watches, man. The watch guy. I don't even know what it is. I just see that watch guy pop into my feed, man.
So Cyrus, yeah. So Cyrus is one of the he's one of the big traders. He's also the advisor to our good friends over at Arcade. I'll see if I could find the tweet up here. But to me, the real world asset thing was like the most obvious kind of use case for NFTs, and the whole idea with what real world assets are, for those that are unfamiliar. Basically, how it works is for the watch stuff. You have a Rolex that's worth $50,000. You send it into this company. I think it's called 4K, but there's a few of them. They value it and they give you the valuation from their perspective. And then they go put it and lock it up in whatever their secure method is. And then they send you the NFT that represents that Rolex that's in storage somewhere, which I'm sure there's a whole process behind how they store it properly and securely. Yep. And then you go take that NFT and you go do whatever. And it seems like for the most part, what people are doing is just taking that representation of the Rolex, going on Arcade and borrowing against it. And so now we've seen multiple $50,000 loans on these nice watches. Yep. But you could see a world where this becomes something more than just watches and, Veblen goods, and it becomes, different types of patents or loans or houses or different types of IP that you can go take.
Oh, it's a virtual pawn shop, right? I mean, you're in Vegas. Like, you should be going and pitching those pawn shops. Like, bro, let's upgrade this. I don't know what's the big pawn shop down there. It's like Gold Dust or something like that.
Actually, so I could walk over to Pawn Stars from my place.
Stars, yeah.
I could go walk over there and be there in about 2 minutes. I
Bro,
see
you should talk to those guys, man. It's time. Like, it's time for them to upgrade their to the NFTs, because the reality is that, I mean, this is a no-brainer, right? It's just like you have to have that trusted third party to actually, hold the item, review it, give it a value, right? That's what you need, is the trusted third party. And I guess those guys would be trusted.
Yeah, when I was, I think I've shared this story before, but before I started working at Emblem, I was in contacts with StockX, which was it's kind of the largest sneaker market. And I had talked with them towards the end of 2021 even. And they were asking me to basically come consult and help them with their new project. And the whole idea was, which is what now everyone seems to be doing, they had built this whole cold type of storage thing that I guess is specific for just sneakers to keep them fresh and to prevent it from degrading, right? And that's the big difference with real world assets and collectibles versus digital. You have to prevent the deterioration of the actual item itself, which is just, it is very expensive on top. But the whole idea was they're going to issue 500 NFTs against these unique type of sneakers, and then they're going to put them in this type of cold storage with a camera so that you could always look at it at any point in time. And then basically the sneaker flippers just trade the price exposure. And at any point in time, you could go burn the NFT, and then you get a portal, or you get like a window which says, hey, here's your what's the address? Where do you want us to send this?
Yep.
And then you go from there. And I think for the majority of people who are flipping sneakers or flipping Pokemon cards or whatever, you don't actually want to take custody of the assets. You just want to be able to trade the price.
Totally.
And that's kind of where this is going. But with NFTs, for example, right, you could see where I think there's a few houses that have been sold through NFTs. I don't think it's in America. I think it's in a different country. But then there's also the big security risk, right? If your deed to your house is an NFT and you click a phishing link and then all of a sudden they steal the deed to your house, like what do you do in that situation?
Yeah, that's a challenge, man.
That
is one of the challenges about owning them as NFTs, for sure.
Go ahead, Israel.
Okay. Concerning real world assets, what was your thoughts on I understand the use case and making tokenizing basic real world assets, but isn't there a concern that these real world assets that are meant to be investments where you keep your possessions, so that in case of things go haywire, like a store of value, isn't there the risk of volatility changing your real world asset to an NFT? What if it gets stolen, or what if your wallet gets hacked? Does that mean the deed to your house is gone? Or what if you trade it on, let's say on Blur, for example, and then your assets get gone? Is there not the risk of volatility with NFTs and real world assets?
I think that's kind of the big question, right? What happens if the NFT to my Rolex is stolen, but then the company still has, the actual custody of the asset? I'm sure there's something that written into the contract there that there's some sort of backup method, but I don't know if it's improving or not.
That actually is solved somewhat through a trusted third party. I mean, this is not a decentralized solution, right? This is a trusted third party solution, and using NFTs as a way to access liquidity on blockchains. But in those sort of cases, I would think there's a way to, they issue a new NFT basically, and that's, certainly not a decentralized solution, but that would be a solution that makes sense for what we're talking about here.
I think to get a completely decentralized real world asset protocol going, I don't know if it's even possible, honestly.
No.
Right?
No, you have to have a trusted third party hold the asset. You have to. There's no way to not have that, right?
Yeah, the only way you can decentralize it if you decentralize the storage to have multiple third parties. then that also adds more complications to the entire process itself as well. I don't know. It's a good question. It's something that I think there's going to be a multi-billion-dollar industry around it. So there's multiple protocols who are already pursuing it. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know what outside of collectibles and maybe houses, and cars and kind of like just for liquidity. I think figuring out what the other utility of that would be, is to be determined. Authenticity and things like that.
Yeah, I think authenticity is a big one. With that, you get this kind of thing. Well, okay, if I have a painting, right, and the painting, comes with an NFT, and that's the basically certificate of authenticity for that painting, right? In theory, the two should stay together. But we see all sorts of scenarios where I sell it, or I sell the NFT, or I sell the NFT, and I give you a painting, but it's a copy of the painting. It's a fake. There are all sorts of ways that could be, gamed in a sense. But yeah, those are some of the significant challenges of, tying NFTs to IRL items. I mean, it's just, people are working on it, but I don't think there's ever going to be a magical solution. It's kind of, good and better solutions, but there is no perfect, I don't think.
To the frontier. Oh, Adam, did you see this yesterday with the Shibarium, the Shiba Inu blockchain? I actually didn't.
And it's gone. Yes.
I actually didn't even know that Shiba Inu was building their own blockchain. I actually did not know about that until a few days ago. So for those that don't know, Shiba Inu, right? It's the second largest meme token. And I think most people probably know about Shiba Inu because the Pepe crowd just consistently compares themselves to surpassing Shiba Inu, which is, kind of annoying, but is the case. So they launched their own blockchain, but I guess they've been working on this for a while. And so they had built a bridge, where you had to basically bridge your Shiba which is from Ethereum. It's an ERC20 token, to Shibarium, which is its own blockchain, equivalent of like its own Ethereum. And then you get the redemption over there. Well, turns out the bridge had some issues, and now over $2 million are locked away in this bridge and unrecoverable. And from what I've been reading, people are still continually sending to it. Oh man, right? This is so this was last night. So this is even 14 hours ago. Transactions on Shibarium are stuck in a pending state. 1.7 million are currently locked on ETH. There was over 1,000 ETH that are currently locked in there. And right, this is something we talk about consistently over at Emblem, is that bridges still to this day are the biggest threat to security. Multiple billions of dollars have been jacked through bridges. There's all kinds of different complications for it. This is why we Emblem vault, right? This is why we kind of use the vaulting strategy over bridging solution. Although a vault's not always the right strategy, this is kind of what we believe in. So I don't know how they're going to recover from this. Although 2 million is quite low comparative to their multi-billion-dollar market cap that they have. Off to a slow start.
Who would have thought, man? I can't believe it. Hey, stuff is hard, man. Right. And obviously this wasn't even a hack or anything. This is just like somebody forgot one line of code, and, painful start.
We see that happen consistently with lost funds. I remember Akutars. Do you remember that?
No, what was that one?
That's Micah Johnson, the former MLB player who does Aku, Legend of Aku or whatever, where he raised 34 million at the mint.
Brutal.
And then there was one line of code wrong and burnt. The $34 million in ETH is just locked away forever.
Just sitting there. Oh, brutal, dude.
That's it. See, that's Ethereum's equivalent way of losing tokens, like on Bitcoin, or losing your Bitcoins.
Literally, man.
Yeah, they really define the deflationary mechanism.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. It's just over and over and over again, consistently.
Yeah.
I think there was a protocol or something that I was reading through the comment sections. I don't know. I'll try to find it, but I think somebody said there's a dev that helped on a similar protocol with recovering the ETH. So I don't know if they will contact the person can help them with the recovery. But basically, people were saying they wrote a smart contract. That's what happened when you write a smart contract with ChatGPT.
Yeah, you got to be careful in this space. Somebody says, you know, they're a white hat hacker, they'll help you do it. Turns out they're black hat hacker and they just run away with all your funds, or even just exploit it even further. You got to be very careful.
Yeah, I think like that one, that's you know, enough people and enough smart eyeballs looked at that one. That's probably never coming back, right? That's brutal, man. I mean, well, we saw, who else did we see? We saw it with Mooncats in the HNFT community, right? Yeah, it happens, man. Tech's hard.
Yeah, and so before we dive into the last topic, the Emblem Vault update. For those that don't know, Adam and I, you know, we work at Emblem Vault. You can see it's one of the co-hosts on the stage. We allow you to trade, move, transact different crypto assets across blockchains. For the most part, NFTs. Take Bitcoin NFTs, trade them on Ethereum. Take Ethereum NFTs, or take Litecoin NFTs, like an Ordinals, go trade on Polygon, etc., vice versa. We've been going through our migration. So we have an Emblem Legacy collection. If you aren't aware of the sheer size of this collection, it's 45,000 NFTs, which are vaults that contain assets from 12 different blockchains, about 100 different collections. We've been migrating this collection into 35 different individual collections called curated collections. So similar to like what Art Blocks did in 2021, where all Art Blocks curated assets were on a single collection page on a single contract. Art Blocks then moved them all into their individual kind of curated collections, right? So Ringers gets their own, Fidenzas has their own, Squiggles has their own collection page. We're essentially doing the same thing, and we're now on to week 5, and we've been building a lot of stuff on the back end. I built this bulk minting tool. So, for example, if you're holding, we'll say, if you're holding 50 rare Pepe cards, you can basically create 50 vaults at the same time, right? Saves on a lot of time and pain for a lot of individuals. The first 3 curated collections that we're going to be deploying, which should be here pretty shortly, is Bitcoin Stamps, Fake Rares, and Counterparty Collection. I don't see that many of that community, Bitcoin NFT community, in here. But those are the first 3. Fake Rares by far has been the most sought after curated collection. It's just every day somebody's like, can I get this Fake Rare curated collection? I think it's just because it's a lot of ETH NFT artists as well. And a lot of those cards actually still hold like 3, 4, 5 ETH floors on some of those Fake Rare cards. So that's the update from there. And the last, but certainly not least topic is PayPal.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you guys know about PayPal, but they recently launched their stablecoin. Called, what is it? PYUSD. They use an old kind of contract for it, and then even on the other side of it too, the PayPal CEO has a .eth address, right? ACCE.eth. Do you think PayPal is going to integrate .eth into their payments, where you could just send your PYUSD cryptocurrency stablecoin to your friends, and I could just send it to AdamMcBride.eth? Adam, what do you think? You think that's
Bro, this is, I mean, the NS guys were going nuts with this, man. when this dude was announced, Alex was announced as the new CEO, the ENS community immediately lost their minds, right? This is the type of thing that gets people excited, because this is like, oh, you can see existing PayPal users are now, in theory, hopefully going to be exposed to crypto. And, you know, if this guy follows through with what the ENS community wants, integrating ENS into PayPal seems like a no-brainer, right? Everybody pretty much uses PayPal right now. We're all using our Gmail address or whatever we're using, right? We're using our emails. You know, if this guy's, all he's got to do is say, hey, let's integrate ENS, and ENS is going to get it integrated. You just see how, you know, there's a lot of positivity in the community that, oh man, we got one of ours in here, right? And I think very exciting from the crypto space that, you know, the new CEO of PayPal knows what ENS is. I mean, Is it a coincidence that he gets hired at the time when their stable coin is going to get, got announced and stuff? I don't think it's a coincidence. I think we can pretty much say, look, PayPal's moving in this direction. They see the forest for the trees, and they through the forest to the trees, and actually understand, like, wow, crypto is a part of where we're going to be going. And I think for the entire crypto space, it's a good deal.
It's a very good deal. And a lot of people don't actually realize this, but .eth is for any blockchain. When you go set up your .eth address on the ENS domains, there's also a slot for your Bitcoin address, for your Litecoin address, your Dogecoin address. So if PayPal wants to accept multiple, right, there's no reason why one of the largest payment processors doesn't accept Bitcoin too, right? That would be the first one that you probably go after.
Yeah.
You'll probably use your ENS that's for multiple addresses. I think it's incredibly bullish. The domain space is getting a lot of attention because the Unstoppable Domains actually had their co-founder on my podcast recently. They also just added ENS support as well. They're expanding. They also just added .sats support too. I don't know if you saw that, Adam.
No, I didn't. Wow.
Yeah, Unstoppable Domains. They just added .sats, and I'm annoyed because when I had their co-founder on, I asked him about ordinals and .sats, and he was like, "Yeah, we haven't really looked into it." And then
I don't even know
about it. And then like 5 days later, they're like, "We're adding .sat support." I was like, it's lied to me. I could have had the breaking news on my show.
Well, Jake, we thank you for your service, man. You obviously brought it to top of mind, right?
Yeah, they've probably been considering it for a while. It's interesting though. What Unstoppable Domains is doing, right? They had decent traction in the beginning for their own domains, .crypto, .nft, or whatever. Then obviously ENS just kind of took off, and Unstoppable kind of just went down the toilet. Their volume just plummeted.
Yep.
So they took a real hard look at themselves, and they said, "What do we do to grow?" And they said, "Well, maybe we just become the Walmart of domains of crypto." And that's apparently what they want to do. The difference here, they added some cool features. Auto renewal on ENS they added, so you don't even have to worry about it. They will renew it for you. Emblem Vault's been ahead of that game for 2 years already. You can auto renew your Namecoin addresses through Emblem Vault. So beat them to that one. You can purchase ENS with dollars, I think is like the biggest kind of thing there. You don't have to go through the hoops and ladders of buying ETH on Coinbase, sending it to your MetaMask, and then going over to ENS Vision or whatever. You just strictly buy it from there. So right for people like Alex, the new PayPal CEO, you probably just want to go buy it through Unstoppable dollars. You don't have to deal with the ETH stuff, and that's the majority. I think people are probably going to go that route.
Yep.
And there was a third thing that they added as well, but their strategy, right? It's kind of like a consolidation. They're just expanding the space, and they're trying to consolidate all types of purchases to their platform, which is generally what you see in bear markets, where a lot of companies are acquired, or different types of products either lower their fees or they add new types of products so that they can survive. And I know they're pretty well capitalized, but it's a good day to be in the domain space, to say the least.
Yeah. I mean, this is just another thing, along with PFPs and social identity, right? In the crypto space. I mean, is there any question domains are going to be important? I mean, it's a no-brainer. It's like the first thing that happened, right? We all know with Namecoin, it's, the naming space was thought about by freaking Satoshi himself, right? I mean, like immediately people were like, this is an idea that has to work. I think ENS is obviously the leader in that. And, if PayPal, all my ENS buddies are going to go absolutely insane if PayPal, allows ENS names to be used on PayPal. It's going to be a fun day when that happens, but I don't think, I have very little question that that's going to happen. Mm-hmm. I actually bought into that hype. I do believe this is going to happen. It's just a question of when.
Yeah. Couldn't have said it any better myself.
So get those ENS ready, baby.
I got a bunch of ENSs. I went after all the entertainment and kind of hospitality names. Got a bunch of strip clubs and hotels and arts district and a bunch of the good stuff like that. Because when you think of ENS or just, yeah, if you think of ENS in general, it's supposed to represent your social media handle, but also your website as well. Yep. So the strategy there is what's best for both. Is this, do you want something like jake.com or do you want something like crypto, right? Crypto.eth. I mean, or do you want something like jake.eth? Do you want something like crypto.eth? Or if you're going to be a business, right? Do you want something like ice cream.eth? Or do you want something like, I don't know, Mountain Man 69 420 kind of thing? It's tough. It's tough to know. But yeah, we've been going at this for an hour and a half today. This is a good first Thursday. For those that made it to the end, appreciate you and everybody on stage. You guys are awesome. We do this show every Tuesday and Thursday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern time. Tuesdays with the guests, Thursdays with the news topics and ideas. Adam, what final thoughts of wrapping up this first Thursday episode after our first full week moving from just Fridays?
Crypto is not dead, man. That's my first thought. Somebody tweeted, maybe it was you, tweeted at me or tweeted, oh yeah, no, it wasn't you, it was somebody else. But he was like, this has ETH to 80 vibes. The NFT market right now has the ETH to 80. When ETH dropped back down to 80, and literally people freaked like, oh my God, this is a stupid idea. Why are we doing this? Who wants to own digital assets? Why? I'd say just take heart, man, because anybody in the space who feels like, oh man, NFTs are stupid, digital assets are stupid, digital identity is stupid. It's not. It's just not. And I think we're on the right side of history, and it may take 5 years for the next cycle. It may take 2 years. It may be next year, the next cycle, and maybe this year. But it's going to happen because crypto is just too important to the world. That's it. Period. Crypto is important.
Israel, man, appreciate you for coming on. And Tom, hello and goodbye, sir. Hope you join us next. You guys should definitely follow Tom, dude. This guy's got some great ideas. He's pretty big on friend tech. So as we just explored that topic, Tom's got some very good insights surrounding SocialFi and where that's going. So appreciate everyone for joining. We will see you next Tuesday, 11:30 a.m. Eastern time.